Welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. Happy Friday. And everybody wants to know, why did Bitcoin just drop 3.5%? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the $1 million question, whether Bitcoin hits 32,000 or 25,000 first. And just wanted to remind you all why, we're here. We're trying to create a community of traders that feeds off each other, right? And we help each other. So ask questions in the comments below, join the Discord, and we want to identify the hottest altcoins, the best trade setups, and go over the relevant news and perfect our craft of trading based off of trend, momentum, and volatility. So again, don't forget to like and subscribe the video, join the Discord, and I'm going to jump right into it. There's the 3.5% pullback on the hourly time frame, still maintaining the uptrend. And just briefly touching on trend, momentum, and volatility. On the hourly time frame, we do still have a nice little uptrend where we are making higher highs and potentially another higher low in this region. Any kind of a closure above 30,344, I do believe Bitcoin could potentially shrug off this little pullback and continue on higher. But continuing on with the uptrend, the trend is up. You've got volatility continuing to expand, but momentum is to the downside. So that does goose the odds for a little bit of continuation to the downside, but that is okay. This is just an hourly time frame. But I want to talk about what happened as we've been talking about the economic data, how that's been affecting the numbers. We had core inflation that came out lower than expected a few days ago. We had PPI inflation that came out lower than expected yesterday. And we said, hey, look, if today retail sales were essentially bullish for the market or bearish for the dollar, then likely we're going to get some continuation today. What I failed to see is this little guy right here, Michigan consumer sentiment. This is why the market is pulled back. This survey measures the sentiment or inflation expectations. And if I zoom in here, and zoom out a little bit. There we go. The Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey says year ahead inflation expectations rose from 3.6% in March to 4.6% in April. Now, to tell you something, these are just preliminary numbers, but this is the first warning sign that we could potentially get Paul Volckered. Now, the final numbers come out April 28th, so that's going to be an important date to watch on the calendar. And some people think this is just a blip because of gas prices, which have continued to soar higher. And the only difference between now and the 1970s inflation was consumer expectations of inflation were skyrocketed. I mean, people were thinking every year inflation was going to be at 10%. So what did Paul Volcker had to do? He had to raise interest rates from 12% to 18%, and the rest is history. We're ahead of a 10-year bear market in stocks, and that is the concern. So important date to keep in the back of your mind, April 28th, and just the overall, you can check this survey out here. It's pretty easy. Just Google it. But let's jump into Bitcoin price action. Follow up what we've been talking about, 32,000 or 25,000. What's going to happen first? Are we going to shrug this little pullback off? I do want to start out with the NASDAQ, which is on the daily time frame here. On the daily time frame, what do we see here? So we almost had a bullish engulfing candle there, and a bit. I know we hit our initial target here of 13,200. Let's see if I'm getting anything else positive. Technically speaking, the way we're trading, we'd be looking for the market to come down here for the next long position. And I think the dollar, could put in a potential bounce here, but there is no hidden bullish divergence forming yet. So we're making lower lows in price, lower lows on the RSI. And where is a potential bounce going to come up to? Well, it would be this green 55 right there, the top side of the range. But you can see there is no hidden bullish divergence yet. So this could be a bit of a fake out. And if the 9 is going to continue to govern the trend to the downside, well, that, would beget continuation to the downside. So we'll have to see what happens on Monday for that, as it is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it through another week. So Dixie goes up and stocks go down, NASDAQ's down, S&P is down, and the S&P has not hit our initial target there yet. And the Dow Jones, which has been the leader of the pack to the upside, almost getting back to the all-time highs there. I'm still in favor of this being a bit of a bull trap, as we're coming into some turbulent times and another Fed rate hike. You can see here the FOMC Fed Watch tool is pricing in an 82% chance of a 25 basis point rate hike on March 3rd. Checking in on a couple other underlying market dynamics. Open interest has taken a slight tick down. We want to see this tick back up for trend continuation to the upside. And then just checking in on funding rates. Why do we check in on these? Well, this has to do what it costs to go long with leverage. And whenever, right now, it's slightly green. So it's costing you more to go long. The longs are paying the shorts right now. Vice versa. If we get to 0.1%, which is one of the macro indicators that says kind of a macro low is being put in. Notice this was back at right around $17,000 Bitcoin. The cost to go short shot up to almost 0.12%, which is when we see that those lows being put in. Vice versa, that's negative 0.1%. When funding rates get positive up at that region, positive 0.1%. You can see major tops get put in. One was put in there at 63,000, and this one didn't quite get up there, but you could see positive funding rates. That means it was costing people to go long. Currently, we're kind of in no man's land. If you ask me, this is insignificant. So just reminding myself to keep an eye on that. All right, let's get back into Bitcoin price action, kind of cover what tool we've been using to have this target of 31,891, and that is this Gaussian channel on the weekly time frame, which we got a closure above the mean band, which typically gives you a free ride to the top side of the band. To me, if we close anywhere here or higher like this, on Sunday, this is Sunday for spot price action, I would beg to think that we're going to, get that continuation going into next week. There's a lot of, I think, bullish sentiment in the market right now. And so my vote is for 32,000 first, and then probably a bit of a pullback. If we do close above the topside band, that would very likely give us continuation to probably this next major pivot, which is around 35 to 36,000, somewhere in that region. And I'd be looking for a pullback from there. Additionally, we had the daily volatility momentum signature, which is when volatility gets extremely low, we expect an explosive move to the tune of about 20%. Price is going to go in the direction of the momentum. And thus far, what do we have from the low? And you can also notice that that's exactly when the Stokes crossed up, and they will cross down today below 29,650. So kind of putting a new pivot on the market up here at this 9 exponential, but I would still be looking for higher lows anywhere above, call it 29,000. Would be a bit concerning, though, if we do start to close below that level, and that number is going to continue to rise. So, it is crunch time for Bitcoin to make its last punch to the upside. What else can we effectively be looking at? Weekly Stokes they're just getting in the bullish control zone again after having a little sell-off. That's completely normal after being away from it for a very long time. So this would also show pretty low volume here on that's Bybit, as well as Coinbase and as well as KuCoin. So, we want to see some strong follow through on volume if this is going to continue to make legs higher going into next week. But I think we do have a pretty easy way to manage the risk here on Bitcoin, and that would be any kind of a daily closure back below this pivot coming in at 28,710. So that's it, I think, for Bitcoin price action. Let's check out Ethereum and then a couple altcoins. And here's our target on Ethereum coming in at 2402. And that does also line up with the weekly Gaussian channel, which is going to be right here. So again, trend continuation for Ethereum. We did take out the 2022 high, and we did say any tick above there likely gets some immediate continuation all the way up to 2140, which was nice yesterday. And so where's the invalidation on this one going to come? And also we have the measure move on this inverted head and shoulders, which is pointed right up to our target. Well, let's call it 2,400, 2,300 if you want to be conservative. And yeah, that's Ethereum. Now the pivot on this one for me is going to be back below 1825, and I would start to consider some downside targets at that point. Technically, this is we kind of raise that up from the shoulder, right? So the way this is drawn out, we've got the shoulder, we've got the head, and then we've got the shoulder. And technically, it won't get invalidated until we close the daily back below the shoulder, which I'd be willing to front run that signal right here at 1823 at this point. So we're seeing increased volume on the daily time frame for Ethereum, which is kind of in line with Bitcoin dominance, which is coming down. You'll also see we talked about this on the daily time frame. We've had this massive range. If we saw a break above and then a deviation back down, altcoins would get a chance to rally. Additionally, in line with that was tether dominance, which tether dominance coming in right here and did take a spill below our pivot. And we talked about this pivot perhaps needing to be a little bit lower, which tethered, come on, give me a break here. Tether dominance. Taking out the wicks, the first warning sign is when you break below the candle bodies, right? Which we got that closure yesterday, got some continuation on that. Altcoins started to rally, and continuation beyond that. We want to see a candle body closure below this wick right here, and then it's going to get going for the alt season. Also, we've been talking about this, and we did, in fact, print the higher high for a trend reversal on the daily time frame on the ETH Bitcoin chart. All we kind of want to do is see something like this, maybe a little bit faster, right? And trend continuation like that for the ETH Bitcoin chart. That'll let us know that some of the altcoins are going to begin to lead the party. I did want to point this out on Bitcoin dominance on the macro timeframes. Getting pushed back hard here. We got 2 days and 7 hours. So is it going to be an alt season? Is it going to be an alt party? Well, I'd say the range on this one for the weekly is now going to be between this level and this level. Any kind of a closure above or below there is going to kind of give us the major direction. So a lot's going to be had over the weekend price action. So will the Chinese roll out some kind of a stimulus plan and pump the markets? Nobody knows. But again, making for an interesting finish to the week on Bitcoin. Also CMEs on the weekly time frame. If it closes here or anywhere here or higher is going to look good for at least some continuation going into next week. Again, we have a pivot or a gap up here at 35,000, also kind of giving us that bias that, if Bitcoin does close above that mean band, 35,000 likely going to be the next target, which is this last, major low before the big breakdown. All right. Following up on stacks, which I've been talking about, with some, potential for pretty bullish price action. And it is pretty normal for price action to come back and test a major trend line break, which is this guy right here. And as long as we are holding it up on the daily time frame above this green 55, holding this trend line, then I would say odds are in favor of a little trend continuation. As soon as we get below this pivot at 77 cents, I'm going to call this trade a quitter and a failure. And hey, that's how it happens. Sometimes you got to take your losses there. Aptos, we did talk about this candle yesterday, giving us some immediate continuation, which we did have. Now we just need to see the market shrug off this consumer sentiment report. Stocks need to go back up and, carry Bitcoin a bit higher. And it is, to be fair, putting in a bit of a bounce here on the hourly time frame. Do we have any hidden bullish divergence? Yes, we will, coming back from this pivot, which should give us a shot to the top side of the range, coming back all the way up here at 31,000, or call it 30,800. If we do confirm this candle in the next, well, it just confirmed. So let's see if we confirm this as a local low. We are so close. A little too close for comfort for me. I wanted to see a closure above the green 55. Let's see if the 2 hour, so by just ticking above the 2 hour high right here, I would say that would bode very well for a bounce on Bitcoin, and it would confirm this as a local low, and you would have hidden bullish divergence, 2 dry variety, going to give you a shot at least to the 9 right there. So a lot to be had in the next coming hours. We'll see what other news comes out today. As they're saying, the U.S. economy is cooling down. Inflation's going down, but all of a sudden, with all the banks failing, right, who knows how much money they're going to print and what consumer sentiment is going to be. Do you expect more inflation in the months to come or less? And I would say more inflation. How can they print more money, bail out more banks? Warren Buffett's talking about more banks failures. Everybody's talking about. Kevin O'Leary just did a big speech last night on Kitco talking about there's going to be more bank failures. He's moving all of his money out of regional banks into the kind of the Costco center banks like JP Morgan and Citibank. Why would you leave your money in a regional bank with any kind of risk? This guy was very clear about that. There's going to be more bank failures. So my question is the Fed going to revise these inflation numbers, right? Are they going to come out with a revision next month or the end of this month and say, oh yeah, actually inflation didn't go down. It went slightly higher. I wouldn't be surprised for them to do that. And what they are doing with the S&P 500 and the, look at that, the S&P 500 and, we're getting into the make or break territory. It's not going to trade sideways for that much longer. Is this going to be distribution or is this going to be accumulation and a run to new all-time highs this year? I think not, but I could be wrong. And, again, we have a looming recession. We've got high inflation. We've got more interest rate hikes. So a lot of things for Bitcoin to fight through and, make a new all-time high. Can it happen? Absolutely. What would be the key to that happening? The Fed turning on the money printer. But then how are they going to fight inflation? So make sure you like and subscribe the video. Keep coming back for more TA, and we will be back with you on Monday. Have a blessed and highly favored day. Look forward to seeing you soon.